to Adoption Side by Side podcast, because no one should have to walk the adoption journey alone. I'm Steph.
And I'm Andrea. We walked the journey together, and we want to walk it with you if you'll have us.
So in today's episode, we're going to hear more about Andrea and Bryson's story and how they became parents of their sweet little boy. So go ahead, Andrea.
All right. We talked a little bit in our first episode what led us to start this exciting journey. And just to recap, I felt led to adoption for about as long as I really can remember. But, as I kind of became an adult and had to face kind of the more serious questions of life and just realized with my diabetes, with it being fairly erratic blood sugars, ups and downs, I just didn't feel that pregnancy was a great option for us. So Bryce and I really prayed for quite some time about the answer. Should we, just try to work on my blood sugar, which for all our diabetics listening, and it's a good thing to work on your blood sugar. I'm not saying don't do that, but should we continue to really try that? Should we consider adoption? And we prayed a lot, and I didn't have that defining, God said go this way, God said go this way instead. But I did have a moment where I felt God answered with just this sense of excitement, anticipation. And the answer was, just wait and see what I'm going to do.
Okay.
So it didn't fully answer the question, but I was like, okay, there's more to this story. It's
that mysterious God way.
Yes. That comes up a lot in this, doesn't it?
Sure does, because you never know what he has in store.
Absolutely. So there were honestly probably years that we weighed our options. So we knew about international adoption. We had friends that have done that. And of course, we knew about potentially adopting via foster care. And I think for a while, as we talk, we definitely felt drawn to potentially adopting older children. I think I said before, Bryce and I both are only children. So honestly, though, he probably has spent more time with younger kids than I have. I really worked with older children and didn't have babysitting experience or anything. So little kids scared me a little bit. So I thought, okay, maybe we would just go that route and adopt older children that needed a home. But then kind of as the years went on, we had just seen a lot of really difficult situations from friends, acquaintances that we knew had fostered or had fostered to adopt. And we just weren't sure that was an emotional situation we were prepared to handle, at least at this stage of our lives.
Right, because we're all, depending on where we're at in our walk of life, can handle something different. And it really has to be on your heart.
Exactly.
As to what you feel prepared to do.
Absolutely. So I think that I had never really realized private infant adoption was a thing. And I guess I kind of pictured back, I feel like in the olden days, you'd hear about people, oh, we want to adopt a baby. And so then 10, 20 years later, maybe the baby
so
came.
long.
Yes. And I just didn't think, I'm like, okay, that's not really a thing. And if it happens, it's a 1 in a million.
Right.
So at this time, and I want to say this was, I believe it was 2021, that I started to see on social media a friend of mine from theater years ago. I mean, we hadn't spoken in probably 10 plus years. We may have exchanged a few Facebook messages, but we hadn't seen each other in person in a long time. So her name's Katie, and she had been posting about her journey for domestic infant adoption. And like I said, just that term, I was like, what is this? And she was sharing fundraisers, and I'd never heard of that concept before.
I can say fundraisers was all new to me because people that I knew had adopted it either internationally adopted or had adopted, and you didn't hear anything about the financial side of it.
Exactly.
But fundraisers now are a thing that you have to do because adoption can be and is so expensive. But I can say even now that we're in it and have done it, you still don't hear about fundraisers happening for others. It's just, that's a weird side of adoption, the expense piece of it. So I was the same way. I was like, what? This friend's doing fundraisers? I thought I just had to take a loan out or find the money myself.
Right. And, I remember talking to my mom about that because she was really surprised about fundraising. And she realized back even in her day, which I'm not calling her out, she's not that old, but in her day, often when a child was adopted, they didn't even know they were adopted. It was like this private,
very private.
Yes. And I feel like now we're really seeing it become more of like this community building your village, which
and it's a so more open adoption
yes. So all that was very new to me. So it was really cool to see Katie sharing that online and sharing fundraisers and stuff like that. So then I think it was May 2021. She shared that the wait was over. Their baby was here. And I just remember really looking at Bryce and being like, look, Katie did this. Someone we know personally. Yeah. Maybe could we do it too?
Because we're all at that age. Like for me, all my friends are naturally having babies. I'm the only one really going through this. I have another friend who was fostering children. But for us, we're the only ones doing this. And like Alex's friends are a little younger. So they're still in that getting married phase of life.
Right.
I don't know anybody that's adopting a baby. That's why I was so thankful God sent me you. Because I'm like, okay, there's somebody else that's doing this. Great. So just to see it happen.
Yeah. And just to see it happen in real time.
Yes,
like it's like you're watching like the steps leading up to it. It's not just like the story at the end. That's great that happened, but what did it take to get there?
Right. Because now that I'm thinking about, we had our friend Ashley who had gone through the process, and like I saw some of her fundraisers. I supported them. Right. But it wasn't clicking that one day that would be me. It didn't click until I was in it. And I'm like, Ashley's like a great contact here. And I got a little closer with her through our time.
Yeah. Because of that, I asked Katie, she was willing to talk about the process because I'm thinking like this happiness we're seeing like online is only like one part of the journey, right? Exactly. Like there had to be a lot leading up to it. And there definitely is. And maybe she'll be willing to share her story on here sometime.
Hopefully,
because it really is an amazing story. So she and her husband talked with me on the phone for, I don't even remember how long, but they were super great with answering questions and just really opening my eyes to what that world looked like. So Katie had been in the process of signing up with Journey Adoption Consultants, and she ended up adopting through another route as she was in the process. She was like designing her profile book. She had one like half done that she showed me. So I could kind of see what a profile book was. Okay. It wasn't done. They still like a few little like blank spots in the page and stuff.
But she was in it.
Yes. And she was. Like she was full on signing up with them because I'm not going to share her whole story on here, but because they had been trying different routes. This is their first kind of foray into private adoption. So then because they unexpectedly got a call about a baby through another route, that was kind of put on pause. But she liked her time with them. Okay. So she recommended them. So I think we waited a while. We waited like a couple months. And then I did our free consultation with Bree. So in case you can't tell, we like Bree here.
Love her. Never met her physically, but love her.
Zoom works, you know.
Zoom and phone calls.
That's right. Journey Adoption Consultants is based in Georgia, which is kind of funny that Stephanie and I met because we were both signing up at a place in Georgia, but we both live in Pennsylvania within like easy driving distance of each other.
It's crazy.
Didn't know of our existence. Yeah. So we did the free consultation with Bree, and it was so nice because it really put us even more at ease because, again, process, big, huge, lot to take in. You're talking about fundraising, you're talking about cases, you're talking about drug exposures, waiting out of state, all this stuff you have to process. I would definitely recommend if you are considering adoption, even if you're not sure that's what you want to do yet, definitely take advantage of free consultations.
Whether it's through Journey or one of the many other ones that are out there.
And I'm sure probably some agencies do that as well, but I definitely feel like I've seen consultants are really willing to do that. And it's just a little more personal than like Googling and like reading through websites and stuff. So, even if you just want some questions answered, take advantage of that. So we decided, like Stephanie and Alex did, we wanted to complete our home study before we signed on with the consultant group because home study is good for a year. The contract with the consultant group at that time was 18 months. So we knew we wanted to take full advantage of having the home study done. And we didn't want to be working on our profile book and our education classes and our home study. And people do it.
They do.
God bless them.
They make it through. But I needed like this done. And then I needed my checklist. And I needed to be able to check things off and not be stressed all at the same time because it is a lot. but I didn't want to be stressed. I wanted to enjoy the process.
Right,
So,
And
I'm
especially,
glad we both did what we did.
yes. And we were all working. Like you and Alex had full-time jobs. Bryce and I had full-time jobs.
Plus volunteer stuff that we all do.
Absolutely. Volunteer, family, friends.
Yes.
Dogs, cats.
Dogs. Working on those date nights that I can say we did do 52 date nights.
Good job.
Somehow. Not sure how we managed it, but we did do it.
Good job. We should do a podcast on that.
We should. Staying attached.
So we kind of started getting some stuff done in the house. Essentially the baby's room, the heat in the house would be not coming through, and then the air conditioning would not come through super well. So the temperature was really rough. So we had to replace that whole unit, do all that stuff. And we also were replacing some flooring. So those were the big things that we just wanted to get done. But then as I'm sure we'll say over and over, we like our checklists here.
Yes, we do.
We like to control the elements we can control.
Yes.
Because adoption, you can feel a little bit out of control.
You can, but there are pieces that you can't have control over them.
So I got a notebook, and in the notebook, I was keeping all of my notes on where to go. I had like my master checklist. I would fill it with little song lyrics or quotes that reminded me about adoption and kind of put it all in one place. So then I had this massive checklist for our house, and it was literally dividing the kitchen into segments of which drawer needed organized. And I tackled this for months. Bryson's favorite thing to say I did was we had one of those cat trees. The cat tree would, of course, attract cat hair. And he remembers me getting a flea comb and combing the hair off the cat tree.
My.
And yeah, he likes to be like, that was a little bit
and let's just pause there for a moment and say we both did a lot of things that did not need to be done for the home study. But
if you're listening to this and you currently have a flea comb and you're combing your cat tree, put the comb down.
Yeah, take a breath. Go get a drink.
Yep.
And continue combing it, because we all know that's what you need to do to feel complete.
Exactly. It's the thing. If I hadn't done it, I would have been
a nervous wreck.
We worked with Caring Adoption Associates to do our home study. I picked them because they showed online every form we would need to complete.
Okay.
Like I could literally print them out and work on them right there and just send the whole packet back. And I just liked it was very upfront, and I knew what was expected of me. So I started working on every piece that I could do. So home studies, again, talk about those in detail in a future episode, but it's all your physicals, your clearances. For ours, I think you had said that because of COVID, they had...
Our interview was paper rather than in person.
So ours was sort of a hybrid of that. They had us it said they needed to be 10 pages each autobiographies. So that was where it started from for us. And they did give us questions. It wasn't like we were left to just like write our life story, thankfully, because that would have taken me 3 paragraphs. But like, I have nothing else to say about myself. It wasn't too bad. It just was time consuming. Of course, you have to examine your financials and provide proof of those statements. And I think these are all the things that make home studies feel very invasive and very stressful. And thankfully, our caseworker, Molly, just really made it a breeze. She was super easy to work with. I think by the time she came to our house, we had submitted everything to her, I think, except the physicals, which we ended up actually scheduling later the same day of our home study. It was kind of by coincidence, it worked out that way, but we just had those to send to her later. When she came to our house, she came in, sat in our living room, and we talked. She kind of went off of our autobiographies, asked us questions, and it was really a nice get to know you. It didn't feel invasive. Like
she's just a person.
Yep, just a person there to help us find the right child and the right situation for us. Our cat was incredibly in her business, and we still passed. So our cat was all in her laptop bag and like very, very invasive. And I had told, I don't know if, I'm assuming you're the same way, Stephanie, because we're the same person. Your animals are your babies too.
They are.
And I had a long talk with my pets, as one does, and said how they were to behave when someone was there.
Yeah.
And they exceeded my expectations. They were very friendly. And I was like, okay, guys, you passed the test.
Yeah. Our day was nice enough that our dogs are very friendly, but they were able to be outside just to, not be annoying and all up. And the cats, were the cats. But I was thankful for that, because that stressed me out a little bit too. Like I didn't need the dogs jumping on her and like they can't have a baby,
Right. So then, what we of course envisioned was that Molly was going to walk from room to room and inspect my toilets and all those drawers and closets I had cleaned so well. And she asked to see the room that would be the baby's room. She walked in the baby's room and she said, "Have a nice day." And I'm like, why in the world did I stress and do all
the things that
all the things
didn't need to be done?
And like we just said, does that mean we wouldn't do it again if we were going to have another home inspection for our next option? Probably do it all again.
I fully believe that when we start this process again, you and I will be having almost the exact same conversation we had when we were doing it the last time, because we both will be in cleaning mode. And I'm sure my best friend will be coming over again, and we will be cleaning the ceiling and wiping down walls because that's just where my brain is in life.
Yeah. I guess that's our coping mechanism, right? So.
Probably, yes. I think so.
So let this be an encouragement to everyone. It's not as crazy as it may first seem. Well, after we were like, "Ooh, okay, we passed. The big scary is done."
Yes.
That's when we signed on with Journey. So that was in October of 22. So next stages were, of course, fundraising and adoption education classes and designing that profile book. So fundraising, we did, I think there were 4 fundraisers that we did. My favorite one was the puzzle one, which you also did.
Yes, that was a good one.
Yes. Yep. Where everyone can, I think you did by donation. I think we had like a set dollar amount. You can do it either way.
We had it.
Or you had a suggested amount.
We had a suggested amount, but I mean, whatever you gave, and if you gave like more than our suggested amount, you got like extra pieces.
Exactly.
Or we would say to people, how many pieces are you wanting with that donation? Just because I was over ambitious and got 1,000-piece puzzle. Don't recommend doing that. So yeah, 500 would probably be good. Yeah. Alex was even like, "Why do we get so many?" And I was like, "Well, because people love us, and people do love us." But like, that was a lot of puzzle pieces.
We did 1,000, and we got to the end of it. But I will say it was because some people were like, "Here's a big donation."
Yes,
so
that was us as well.
Yes, so it happened. Was it? There were 1,000 people? No, of course not. Like it was people being willing to give generously, which was really awesome. Unlike Stephanie, this puzzle is not put together in my home. In fact, the puzzle that I bought for it, we didn't realize had those guides on the back. Have you seen those? Or they have like all the little like letters to help you put them in sections.
Yes.
I feel like that's cheating.
It absolutely is.
But that was a problem because you couldn't really write anything on it. So it's possible that the puzzle doesn't yet exist. We have the list. It will happen. It will exist. So there's the difference. You were
we started working on ours. When did I even start working? I think baby was home and we started to work on ours because I kind of wanted it done for finalization because we had a party after our finalization date.
Got it.
And I was kind of stressed because I wanted the puzzle displayed there, and thankfully it did happen. But it was even to the point that like parents and family were like, "We'll help." And we're like, "No, because nobody knows what the picture is. We don't want you to come over and see the picture." Right. Because that was a surprise as well. Right. It was a picture of both sets of grandparents that we had taken. And we didn't want them to like it. And that was a nice surprise for them. So it was like, nope, it's just the 2 of us working on this.
I think the one we originally got was a Christmassy one because our thought process was like, yes, it was like a red truck with dogs all over it. So our thought was, hey, at the holidays, we'll get it out and put it together with him when he's older versus displaying it. So that's the thought. We'll see when it happens. So this will be my obligation. I have to go get the puzzle done.
There you go.
Now that I've
put it out there.
Said my shameful ways. We also did a giant yard sale. It was indoors because we did it in January. I don't know why exactly, but we thought no competition. So we filled our entire church foyer, entire fellowship hall, hallways. It was awesome. It went super well. Just like Stephanie, I'm like, never again. But
yeah, like it's so much work.
But it's so nice. People can just give you stuff like they would just be kind of giving away anyway. So I don't know. It was pretty amazing. And people there, of course, were like...
And neither of us priced the items.
Or
did you? I can't remember.
Did, but then we kind of dropped them on the second day just to make sure more stuff went.
We didn't price anything.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of donation based, which was nice because there was so much, like I didn't realize how much stuff we had until we unloaded the garage that was floor to ceiling, wall to wall. Like I should have known how much stuff we had, but
we seriously regretted pricing each object. Like it was, I definitely.
And I remember you telling me that. And that was another reason why I was like, we're not pricing everything. And that's one of the things in my brain for the next one. But then I've got all the other things that during our fundraising podcast, I will share, learn from experiences. Learn from experiences.
Absolutely. We also there was like a local restaurant that they sold cinnamon rolls. They do that as a fundraiser. So we did that with them. I think it was around Valentine's Day. So that was delicious.
We both not do Sarah's?
We did both do Sarah's. Yeah.
Because you did Sarah's and then we did it. We actually had Little Man. We did it like that Valentine's Day, but you had done it the fall before.
We did it Easter.
Easter, that's right. Okay.
Yeah. And that was awesome because they're so easy to work with. That was just, it was just an online sale. So through that process, and of course we had family and friends who were very generously donating money as well, plus our own savings, of course, and our own work. We were able to adopt debt-free, which is not the case for everyone. Of course, you could take a loan at the end or, but that was just amazing to even hit that amount by that point. And we had a little bit slightly longer of a wait than you guys did. But ours wasn't even long, as we'll see from the story. So to be able to achieve that in that amount of time, we were just so thankful that we didn't have to do anything on the back end.
And like we were blessed as well, but we did take a loan out because we panicked there at the end.
Of course, yes.
And I did have to tap into the loan. So I was thankful we had that, but then we applied for grants that covered that amount. So I was able to, as soon as the grant money came in, pay that loan off. Exactly. So we both were thankfully and blessed that we came through debt-free. Again, a God thing.
Absolutely a God thing. Stephanie talked a little bit already about the adoption education classes, which were 10 hours requirement with Journey. And they provided us with links to sites that were, most of them were free classes. There were a few mandatory ones. I think some of them might have had a slight cost, but it was very, very nominal.
Yeah.
A lot of them too were kind of like an hour audio. So it was really easy to just do. Often, if Bryce and I didn't do them, like sit down together and do them, I would listen to the audio text and be like, I listened to this one. And he would play it on the car on his way to work.
Right. Because weren't there quizzes after them?
There were. And
so we would like listen and then would take the quiz together. That way we got the certificate with both names on it.
And then of course the profile book. So we worked on that. It contains your photos. I kind of wish we had done some of the lifestyle pictures. I loved our pictures we did. They definitely were more portrait though. So I did love them, but I would like to add a little more of the lifestyle ones when we do them again. Another piece of advice I would give is there are some agencies that will kind of show families' profile books on their site. When I see them now, I'm like, oh, I wish I would have thought to include this. So I think that if you're kind of just starting out and haven't really gotten a chance to see other people's books, maybe like find an agency that shows people's books. Because it just, I don't know, it really made me think like, oh, I should have included that. And I just didn't think of it before. So,
and Journey for us, I'm sure it did for you too, sent a couple examples. But it's one of those like the more you know situations, the more you know, the more you can like pour into yours a little bit better.
Exactly. Yeah, because everyone's, obviously their life is so different that I would see something they had. I thought, wow, if I would have had that, it would have been good. But you learn and
sure do.
For potential next time. So once we had all of that stuff done, education classes and fundraisers were ongoing. So really the education classes, the home study, and our profile book was done. We were ready to be considered active.
Yes.
Talk about the big,
always a fun day.
Feels like the big moment. We were active in January, and I want to say it was something like January 2nd, or like it was right after New Year's.
Okay.
Like New Year,
ready to go.
Here we go. So we'd received the case files from Journey. We were partnered with several different agencies. Journey also had a list of agencies that they work with that don't send cases directly to them, but you can sign up with separately. And I think most of those would have an additional application fee. So you were kind of encouraged to pick maybe one or two of those just to decrease your wait time. So we did sign up with 2 additional agencies, so we would see cases from them as well. Just like Stephanie talked about, you'd review the info. You would decide if it was a case you thought was a good fit for your family and give a yes or a no. Then if you gave your yes, mom got to take a look at your book and decide between those books and how she felt, give her a yes. And I really loved that part of the process where it felt like you were choosing each other. And I just felt like that was such like a cool start to this building your family.
So Alex kind of referred to it because he's like the funny one of the group here. He was like, it's like Tinder.
It is. Yeah. It is. It's like a dating profile.
We swipe left as yes, and then she has the option, or they have the option if birth father is in the picture as well and helping with this to swipe yes or no. So that's because people will be like, well, how does this work? And you'd be like, well, it's like Tinder. We get to like see your profile and say yes or no. And then she sees our profile and then says yes or no. And we just wait to get 2 yeses. And I mean, it made people understand it more because unless you're living it, you are a little like, how does that work? Like, what do you mean you're seeing a profile or a case? Or
I think somehow, of course, this exists. This is true. I think we tend to think of adoption, at least I did, as this child has been removed from a family or the parents have abandoned a child. So, like, I guess I had this really dark picture.
Okay.
And it was so like assuring to see you're making this decision together. Like I am saying I'm willing. And if mom or birth family, if you're willing to also make that decision with us, it's like the start of a relationship. One thing I didn't say earlier too was talking with Bree, with Journey was really helpful because we became aware that adoptions today are almost all open adoption.
Yes, rather than closed.
Yes.
Which means nothing is shared.
Right. You don't know each other. You don't see each other's pictures. I don't think you could know each other's names. And I think when I heard of a semi-open or open adoption, I had pictures of, so they're over at your house all the time. Like you're kind of co-parenting. And those situations exist.
Absolutely.
And there's many times they exist and it's working out great. Bree did explain to us that you are the parent. You know, you are making the parenting decisions and you do have the final say on those things. But that this is something you hear a lot about in the adoption classes, how good having a more open adoption has been.
It's healthier in a sense for child, family, and birth family, but not every case can be that way.
Exactly.
And it's always determined that through a group of people, not just one side of it that says where it should be. And sometimes it's fully on the birth mom, what she wants. At the end of the day, if she's saying she wants complete transparency, then it's what's done. Or if she doesn't want that, it is a little closed off. So that piece was interesting too, because not all open adoptions look exactly the same, because my open adoption does not look at all like what your open adoption looks like. So that, and like what Bree's open adoptions look like. So there's that piece as well.
I noticed too, as we were getting cases to look at, a lot of the agencies would tell you what the birth mom or family was expecting in terms of communication. Some of them I think was kind of set by birth mom. Some were set kind of by the agency, like here's a baseline to start at. So I appreciated that was there. And for many people, that often looks like just exchanging letters, exchanging pictures, text. Because like in our case, we both knew we were likely adopting outside of the state of Pennsylvania. So we probably wouldn't be super close by to do like some people, you know, they're going to their child's bio siblings football games. Like they have that kind of relationship. They can meet up often. We kind of knew we wouldn't have that per se just because of distance. But, you know, some birth moms are desiring of meeting up in person. Some don't desire that. And that's okay too. Like, they have to make a decision that is what is best for them and their family.
Right.
So that was another thing that would be in the case file. So for example, there was one case that wanted, I think it was like 4 visits a year, 6 visits a year. And they lived so far from us that we knew that unfortunately wasn't realistic for us.
Right.
Whereas there was one mom, I remember we felt comfortable saying yes to, who wanted 3 visits a year, but was in a state much closer to us. So we felt like that was something we could do. So obviously each case comes with very careful prayer, consideration of baby's known health needs, the mom's social and medical history, and also evaluation of the agency's policies kind of around financial risks. Most case files you get would also be showing you, as much as they are aware of, if there are kind of legal risks surrounding where birth father's at, if he has given consent, he's in the picture, not in the picture.
Right.
Some cases you don't know who the dad is. So they kind of talk you through that. So that was helpful. You know, you could make it as informed decision as possible with the info you gave. I talked a little bit about this in our first episode, but just seeing people's stories was wild. It's people from all walks of life. I think I had a misconception too that what we would be looking at was mainly teen girls or very young moms, like maybe like moms going into college, that this timing of a pregnancy was not going to work for their education. That's what I pictured. And I would say very much not that way. There definitely were some. It was all age
just a couple though.
Yeah.
For us at least. There were maybe only a couple
that
were that young.
Us. Yeah. It was more like
age.
Women like kind of an art area of life.
Like middle 20s to 30, like mid 30s.
Yeah. So that was interesting. And I think because of that, there was history in there. Like you could kind of see some of their life story. And it definitely was very humbling. Like we said, there's cases that really stuck with you. There was one really early on in our journey, and that was a very young mom that really stuck with me. And later there was a mom right before our case, we're going to talk about in a minute, that I don't know why it really stuck with me. I think it was because she wrote a lot. Like we were able to kind of hear more of her own words. And then she had asked us to answer some questions. So I felt like we were getting to have some communication with her beyond just like a profile book or like a cover letter that some agencies asked you to write. So that one really stuck with me. And that was the one, I think that was in July. Yes, that was the one we kind of made it to a second round, which is exciting, you know, and we didn't do a phone call with that mom, but she had sent she had sent a lot of questions in the beginning that we answered. So she kind of said, here are my like top questions. I want to know like really how you feel about these topics. So we responded to those, and we really never heard. We were just kind of aware she was probably going with another family. We're just kind of like, you guys are safe to move on. Like, you know, she's going to go different directions. We're like, okay.
Because with that, moving on, was that with the agency that wanted you to only say yes to one case at a time?
It was not, but because we had said yes to that, there were other cases we could not say yes to.
Yes, because since you were working with those out to agencies, you had that, like with Bree and the consultant group, you could say yes to as many cases at a time. But I did remember that. Just for people who don't know that, with the consultant group, you could say yes to 10 cases at the same time, but certain agencies would only let you say yes to one case at a time. That way, if you matched, you didn't have another case out there waiting on, which protects everybody, but kind of stinks at the same time because you can't say yes to other cases then at that point.
There were definitely cases I feel we had wanted to say yes to, but because one of the agencies that we really, which is the agency we ended up going with, their policy was one mom at a time. So there were times like we would kind of do some checking back in just to be, we of course are willing to be patient, but there's times you just kind of need to know like, hey, can we consider this a no if we haven't heard back so we can move on. So during this time, so it would have been from January to August, we reviewed cases from, it'd be over 10 agencies between the two we signed up for and then those that worked with Journey. During those months, it was 67 cases. 67 moms from every imaginable background, all facing a major life decision. And of course, in all those cases, we either had not said yes or we had said yes and mom had chosen another family. So we were told by, I'm pretty sure Bree told us this, to just remember God knows what baby is meant to be yours.
Exactly.
And for us, that would prove to be case 63. So here comes August. In August, it had been just a super hard few weeks for us outside of the adoption journey. There was just a lot going on. We were really having a rough time, and we kind of just felt ourselves like clinging to this hope. Maybe our lives are about to get a lot brighter. And we had been in conversations, like I said, with that one mom just a month prior that we were kind of, sounds like a pretty good fit for us. But then we weren't chosen. So that morning, I think it was August, it's like 21st, I think it's towards the end of the month.
Editing Andrea here to say that during this part of the recording, I said the sentence completely wrong and it doesn't make sense. So I'm jumping in here to fix it. So that morning we received a case that we really should have felt okay saying yes to. Everything checked out with the agency and their policies. The birth family sounded great and everything really sounded like a pretty perfect fit, including our personal preferences.
I kind of know why. There's kind of one sentence in there that gave me some pause. But I'm like, but we agreed this was okay. And it didn't feel okay. And I'm like, so to Bryson, do you feel like this is okay? And like, we did not feel okay about it. And I'd felt really discouraged because I'm like, here's something we should have been okay to proceed with, but we just didn't. And I'm like, am I being too picky? Like, am I being be picky isn't the right word, but like critical of like too analytical? Am I not taking enough risks? So I was driving home from work and I just remember this heartfelt cry to God. When is it our turn? Which looking back on it is kind of funny to me because it had only been 8 months. We've been looking at cases like
I know, because you feel like it's going to take forever because you hear of the stories that take a few years, and each of us, I was June to November, baby born December. You're January to end of August, baby born.
Right. So it's like, I don't know why. I think it was because of everything else going on. I was like, God, when is this going to happen for us? And I'm like driving and like phone dings and I see it's from like our favorite agency, which was Heart to Heart. We loved them. Okay, don't look at it while you're driving. Like, get to your driveway. I open it up and it was a baby of unknown gender due in 1 month. Almost exactly 1 month. It sounded like a great fit for us in every way. Since we loved the agency, the birth family sounded great. Most cases we reviewed were in states that would be pretty far from us, like Florida or Texas or Utah or Arizona. But this case was right next door in Ohio. So I was like, And I think that might have even been like the closest to us case that we had seen. Whoa, okay. So what was interesting was, had we said yes to the case we received earlier that day, we wouldn't have been able to say yes to this one because Heart to Heart asked you to present to just one mom at a time. So that kind of explained that sense of unease that we had because God knew this was the case. We waited after we said yes. A week and a half later, the agency reached out to say mom had narrowed her choice down between us and one other family. We were going to get on the phone with her. So that was our first mom call we had done, and definitely nervous. I remember I texted Brie and she's like, do you want me to like call you? We can like talk about things.
I remember
like,
that.
Like, please call me. Like, let's talk. And the agency also asked, could they call us a little bit earlier? And they went over some stuff with us before they got everyone on the phone together. So they facilitated the call. So they were on the phone call, like in case there were any questions or if anything like got awkward, we didn't know how to answer.
Right.
So we definitely knew when we got off the phone, we really wanted to work with her. We just felt like we had a connection. When we first started the call, we all felt so awkward. It just, like, what do you say? And I remember we told her, the agency rep, her name was Darla. She was like, okay, you guys ready? And I'm like, yes, we are super nervous. She's like, well, she's really nervous too. So, everyone's nervous. And we had to go first. So we knew we were the first phone call. So after we got off the phone with her, Darla said, like, we'll call you later. So she called us probably like maybe 2 hours later. And she said, okay. She's like, how do you think it went? I mean, we felt really good. And she said, okay, I know she felt the same way. Her other call went well too. So we told her, just take time and like think about it. So we're like, yeah, that's fine. Take as much time as you need. So then we waited. And that was very intense waiting. That was rough because I think every time we said yes to a case, I'm like, okay, so tomorrow we might get a call that says like you matched. But this felt like we really like 50-50. Yeah. We might get a call any day that we matched. And what does this mean?
I felt the stress for you. Like
it felt, I mean, again,
it was minute by minute.
It totally was. And of course, like I respected her taking as much time as she needed. Like that wasn't the problem at all. It was just our own anxiety. Like, oh my goodness, like what's going to happen?
Yes.
So, I remember Bryson was going to, it was the evening and he was going to a meeting that evening. He just got in the car and he left. And then Darla texted us both. And she said, do you have a minute to talk on the phone? And I was at my mom's house. And I texted Bryson, like, you going to come home? He's like, yeah. So he turned around to come back. He told everyone at the meeting, he's like, adoption call, got to go back. So we went back home. And I was absolutely convinced it was no. I don't know. I mean, that's probably just because I'm pessimistic, but like, I just felt like, okay, maybe she would have said a little more, or maybe she didn't get her hopes up. Like, it's going to be no. Like, she wants to tell us gently, like, hey, or maybe just say, hey, mom decided that she isn't choosing adoption. And I didn't know. So I was like, it's definitely a no. So we got on the phone and she said, they had reached out to her and they said, like, have you made a decision? And she said, yeah, I like Andrea and Bryson. And I just remember like Bryson just like squeezes my hand. We're probably not to like scream or like be crazy or anything yet. So I go off the phone, like, okay. So I go back up to my mom's house because I had just been there and like my mom and dad are like waiting there. And I was like, okay, it was a yes. And then we were like screaming. And then, and so we called Bryson's parents. They didn't answer. He left it on a voicemail. I'm like, how could you?
Oh my goodness,
on a voicemail? Like, he was just so excited. He's like, blah, 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 blah. And then the whole evening was me calling all of my friends being like, oh my gosh, like we matched. So by this point, baby's due date 1 week from now.
Mm-hmm.
So, and even when we had talked to mom on the phone, she had said, so has the agency told you when my due date is? We're like, yeah. We're like, we're as prepared as we can be. It's fine. Like, it's all good. So there's a lot to do in that week. We did have some baby stuff. We've been collecting some stuff. We kind of had like an emergency bag because we were kind of the opposite. We went out the second we were active and put together this little baby bag. Because that was something I could control, right? I'm like,
and then there's me. I know I can control it, but I don't want to
Right.
just yet. So I didn't until it was time.
Some people, when they're pregnant, don't want a crib in the house.
And
like,
that was us. We didn't do any
just
baby
don't want it.
furniture until we had the guests.
Yep.
And even then I was nervous about doing it.
Yeah.
But we did. It all came. It was set up and
It was all good. We had the crib. Bryson said we could not put it together because he's like, if we have to come home without a baby, I'm going to be really.
And
like,
that was
not
where
okay.
I was with even setting up the nursery.
Yeah.
And it was set up before we left. But since our case was unique, we had that sense of calm about that.
Right. You're pretty confident you were coming back home.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're at like 1 week. We're like, running around getting the thing lined up, install the car seat.
I remember those text messages.
Yeah. It's like, oh.
We're doing this. And then I'm like, wait, did you do? And you're like, oh yeah, I need to remember to do that. Like just because we had walked it.
Yep.
And we were both close at that point. It was a matter of time of who was going to be first at that point. So we were both ready for it.
Yeah. And for those who have been tracking, it was 3 months.
Yes.
Almost to the day. So we had that experience. So that was pretty crazy. And I love that our sons are going to grow up together.
Yes.
That's so fun. I love it. I remember being actually fairly calm. Like it was busy. Like there was a lot to get done. Me being an anxious person normally, I feel like my mom was kind of like, how are you okay? And I'm like,
right.
I've prepared for this as much as I can. I know what to do, what situation we walk into. You don't always see till you get there, but like I know the steps. I know what needs to take place. So we were aware that she was going to the doctor. They were possibly going to schedule an induction date. And then at that appointment, they were like, we think it's going to be soon. We're not going to schedule anything. Like, we'll wait. And since we were driving, it really was so simple for us because we could just get in the car and go. And we weren't super far. So we did not have to have buying the flights and stuff. So God bless you because
that was stressful.
That's very
slightly stressful piece. Yeah.
But you had your team to help.
I did. So. I had my team, my little village there to help us through that.
It helps. So we woke up one day. Bryson went to work. I was working at home that morning. And I'm like sitting at my kitchen table and get a ding. And it was like a text message that had been set up between like me and Bryson, a caseworker from Heart to Heart Agency, and Darla, who was like their matching coordinator. We're all in the same text. And it was like, okay, mom says baby came quickly overnight. So what? It was like mind blown. So I call Bryson as soon as I see it. I don't think I texted back. Or maybe I texted like, awesome, we'll like get on the road. Call Bryson. I was like, okay, you ready to do this? And he was like, oh, he was so like freaking out. And he's like, did it say what gender the baby was? Because we didn't know. And like the text did say, it did say perfectly healthy. And we were like, oh, thank God. Like that was such wonderful news.
Yes.
So then,
this is editing Andrea here again. This part of the audio was really messed up and it's one of our favorite parts of the story. So I wanted to re-record this line quickly just to say that when Bryson was at work and received the text, he told his boss and his coworkers, I have to go. And he went to use the bathroom before he left to go home. And he opens the bathroom door and his coworkers are just surrounding the door going, well, what is it? Is it a boy or a girl? And he responds, I don't know. It's human.
So right when he pulled in our driveway, they sent a group text to say it's a boy and he hadn't read it yet. So I got to tell him. And
that's amazing.
That was really like special. That's like a moment that will live in my brain forever. Like, it was just a good moment. So what should have taken us like an hour if that, to get ready. Because we had like baby stuff was all packed in the suitcase. It took us like 3 hours. We were like, ugh. Like we were calling people, like we were going nuts the whole drive down. We were like calling people, like, what do you think it is, a boy or a girl? Last time you can guess, like torturing everyone. It was a great time. And one thing that was really special was a friend of ours that had walked through an infertility journey was now pregnant, and she was having her gender reveal that weekend, and she'd invited us to come. And we said, we will, as long as we're not at the hospital. So it was in I think it was in 3 days from this day.
Okay.
So we called her, we're like, hey, listen, we're not going to be there, unfortunately, but we can do our gender reveal for you on the phone right now. And then you can text us on that day and tell us. So that was fun. We got to have that moment together. So we were driving, we got a picture of him. Oh my gosh, it's the cutest baby I've ever seen in my life. Was I biased? Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. That's all right. I can be. So we kind of hung out near the hospital for a little bit because the agency, Heart to Heart, is located in Utah, and they flew a caseworker out to be with us. So we kind of waited for her to come because we weren't personally in communication with birth mom at this point. She was doing the in-between communication. So just to protect everyone's privacy. So we waited till she landed and got to the hospital. So we went out to Chick-fil-A, as one does, right?
That must be the thing to do.
It is. Go to Chick-fil-A. We hung out at Barnes & Noble. And I remember just walking around there am I about to meet my son? It's weirdest thing. My son? Could that be? So we got the text that her name's Kathy. Kathy had landed. She was driving there to the hospital. So we're like, okay, go over to the hospital. We're sitting in the little parking garage. And I am Googling, YouTubing videos on how to feed a baby, how to burp a baby, how to change a baby's diaper. Because again, all foreign to me. And Bryson just looks at me. He's like, listen, we get in there. You're going to have to handle this. I'm so nervous. I'm going to drop this newborn. I'm like, you're not. You're going to be fine. But I'll go first. We'll learn this together. Just like you said, they're going to trust us with a baby. It was the wildest concept.
It is.
What?
It's just, here's your baby.
Yep. Okay, what do I do with this?
Now what?
So Kathy gets there. We can't find the entrance because it was a huge hospital with a bunch of different wings, and they were all closing for the evening because this was around 9:30 at night now. So we're trying to find the right door to go in. And we finally had to ask their security officer. So he turns on his flashing police light and drives us a little parade around the building. So we get there, we meet Kathy at the door. She gives us a big hug. Kathy was awesome. Having her there to kind of, not, I would say our go-between, but just a person that we could ask questions of or birth family could ask questions of was really good. I think to have a rep there to be able to advocate for us and advocate for her if she needed that in the hospital. That was really awesome. So she walked us up to the room. We sit outside a little labor and delivery unit. We're waiting. And I think you had mentioned how many babies were born.
There were a lot of babies born when our little man was
they told us our shift was the busiest they'd ever had. They had so many babies born that day. It was wild. So
there were 12 babies discharged with us, which was
so
insane.
Crazy.
I mean, granted, it was Christmas, so they were kind of pushing everybody out to get home for the holidays. But yeah, it was a lot. And our agency alone had 3 or 4 that week.
That's so crazy. We're sitting out there waiting. They come out to get us. We didn't know yet if we were staying in the hospital or not. We thought we were, but we didn't know for sure. And they told us, we're getting you a room ready. So that was super nice to be able to stay there. And then they came out and they got us and okay, ready. So we walked down the hall together. We walked in and both birth parents were there. We got to meet both of them. She handed me the baby. We talked for probably an hour with them, which was really, really awesome. And then we went to our own room with baby. And that's probably as much as I can say about what happened with them. We had a huge true God moment in terms of what we named the baby and the discussion we had with her around that, which I just for her privacy and my son's privacy, I'm not going to say. But it was just it was a cool moment. It was a cool moment. And we got to see her a couple times, and each of those interactions are just things I will truly never forget. Because I can't say anything too personal, I do want to say, and I'm going to try to say without crying, that my son's first mother is amazing. She's one of the bravest, most selfless human beings I have ever met. And the love she showed for her son is just unfathomable to me. We have a photo of her in our son's room that we took together of them at the hospital. And so we can look at it often and we can pray for her together. And we're very blessed that we're able to keep in communication with her and just encourage opportunities for her to still be present with him. And what followed was that waiting period before mom can choose to sign her rights. I believe, and I maybe need to ask the agency about this because I'm not sure how this worked. We were told Ohio was 72 hours, but when we got there, they told us Utah law was going to apply because we were going through the Utah agency. So it was 48 hours. I feel like a lot of people, that's kind of something that's stressful when they hear or talk about private adoption is the wait. When you're in the hospital, you're holding the baby. People's hospital stays can look very different. Some have a lot of interaction with mom. Sometimes the baby's with mom and you're just kind of waiting. You may not be staying at the hospital. For us, we were in the hospital with the baby. I really had a peace about it. I think that we knew that if she decided she wanted to parent, it would be okay because she truly loved him. We felt at peace about him going home with her, knowing that would be fine. That would be God's will. And they would be a happy family. So yes, it definitely was still emotional. It was very emotional after the last time we saw her. And then we began to sign our paperwork and stuff. That was hard just because it was such a display of love.
It's hard to put in words.
It is. From this end of the adoption side, I just don't know how.
Me either, because that was something I struggled with leading into going to the hospital and before we even matched, that selfless love that these birth mothers have for their babies, to know that their situation in life or they personally are not ready to parent for whatever reason.
Right.
And all the reasons are different.
Yeah.
I struggled with the meeting birth mom and her handing me baby. Yeah. Because in my heart and my mind, she was handing me her child to give me the greatest gift. Right. How could I take that? Yeah. Not to get emotional here again, but that I struggled with that. And I can say that was a part of our story that we didn't have to walk through like you did. So that's where our two stories are unique and different in that sense. And I can say I'm slightly grateful that I didn't have to do that because I don't know how I would have reacted. I give you so much love, respect, and props for being able to do everything you did at the hospital because I wasn't sure I was going to be able to do it. So that also is a God thing. He knows what we are able to handle and not able to handle in those moments.
It was emotional, but I feel like a lot of the emotion came after. And it was just in the moment, I wanted to just be whatever she needed me to be and be outside myself and be this is your decision. I support you either way. And I'm just here to love you and this child for a couple days and you can decide.
Right.
And there was a moment she looked at me. It was the last time we saw each other and said, I'm just so glad I could do this for you. That just blew my mind. Yeah. It was huge.
That love on her end for not only her child, but for you and Bryson. That she had, that she knew she made the right decision, in that moment.
Yeah. After paperwork was signed, we discharged from the hospital. We began the ICPC wait, which we talked about stands for Interstate Compact on the Placement of Children. So in our case, we had 3 states we had to wait on. So that was fun. So you are your child's guardian then. The agency has custody of the child. You are the guardian.
But you do have power of attorney if something would need to be done or something like that. But and I know with our agency, any big medical things that needed to be taken care of, we had to let them know. But just to go to the doctor for a cold or something, we were allowed to handle. But if he had a hospital stay for whatever, they just needed to know so that they knew what was going on. All for the safety of the child until they're legally ours.
Right. We were in Ohio for however long that took.
But you were lucky enough to get a house.
Well,
in a sense.
We'll talk about the house. It took exactly 2 weeks. They kind of tell you to sort of be 2 weeks is the norm. I think it was to the day it took us 2 weeks. So it really wasn't too bad because it was first Ohio had to okay, then Utah had to okay, then Pennsylvania had to okay. Pennsylvania, of course, takes forever. So Utah is very used to doing adoptions. They were one day. They're yep, here you go. That's all we needed. But Pennsylvania laws are a little more complicated
It, again, protects the child and family and all that. But sometimes it's come on.
we kind of had the same thing you were doing where we kept getting paperwork back. We'll sign this.
Yes.
We'll actually sign this wording. And we're like, just give us the paper and let us go home, please.
Yes.
Because after we left there, we stayed for a few days at the Ronald McDonald House. And that was nice because they let us stay for free. It was super, super nice. They fed everyone dinner every night. And then after we were there a couple days and kind of did like baby's first discharge checkup, we decided to rent a house kind of closer to the Ohio PA border. So it was easier for family to come over and visit. So we did get to have our family for most of our out of state stay, which was really nice. Got to have grandparents come. My dog came because again, she's my baby. So it was nice to have a house, except the house, which is no longer listed on Airbnb, can confirm. We have friends that live there who told me the house is currently being sold. And I'm like, thank God. It was a nightmare. We called it the murder house. It was so gross and disgusting. And we have footage from that house like you wouldn't believe. I mean, obviously we made things sanitary where baby was, but it was just the basement was like so sketch. Whoa, it was rough. That was a little bit, would not recommend that. Yes, that, no. But yeah, it was definitely a little rough, and we were so ready to go home. I kind of like you woke up. I said, today is the day we're going home. And we literally started before the call even came because we kind of knew what time of day it would come because the Heart to Heart would kind of communicate with us a certain time every day, typically. And so I was like, okay, the call will come around this time. We were already taking our stuff out of the fridge, packing up stuff we didn't need. We got the call and we yelled out there, you're a fan of MASH, right?
Yeah. We'll talk about that at a later date, how big of a fan we were. We still are, but it was kind of an obsession for a while.
Yeah. It was like a scene of MASH where they bug out.
Yes,
we're like, we're going home. We all start screaming. The poor baby's probably like, what's happening? What's going on? So we got out of there literally as fast as we could. Drove back home. The rest of the process was fairly basic. We just had our caseworker, Molly. She came over 3 times within the next 6 months. So just to fulfill Pennsylvania law. Again, it was just sit down, ask questions. Nothing scary, nothing. No. Did I still worry about it? Of course I did. But
can't say I didn't OCD clean.
Of course.
Right. That didn't happen, those 3 visits, but we cleaned.
Right. Not OCD cleaned. We didn't have time then. We were too sleep deprived.
Yeah, we had babies.
Yeah, it was busy. So our finalization, we could choose if we wanted it to be in Pennsylvania or in Utah. We picked Utah because the agency had their own attorney they'd work with. So it just kind of felt easy. We didn't have to find another attorney. So we just attended by Zoom. So I did wear a nice dress, but the pictures could show my fluffy socks on underneath there because no one can see that. So we had grandparents come over. One of our baby's great aunt, Bryson's aunt, came over. Bree attended on Zoom. So it was a special moment. So I had a little thing in my end here about would I recommend adoption? And it's something I can't say I can recommend to everyone because everyone's family is so different. And I do believe that God puts on your heart adoption. I don't think it's wrong if you don't feel like you want to adopt. But I would just encourage you, even if you're just considering it, to just take a few moments, reach out, do a free consultation with a consultant, with an agency. Just have that person-to-person conversation versus Googling. Talk with those around you who've adopted because everyone has that unique story, and just encourage you to consider all forms of adoption too. Hopefully we will be having that on the podcast later. Talk to some folks, who have been through on the foster care system, who have done international adoptions. So that's our story.
Thank you, Andrea, for sharing your story. It's, as we've said, everybody's story is unique and special. And we know that God placed the exact right baby into your lives at the right time and has blessed you and Bryson. So, let's pray.
All right, sounds good.
Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for Andrea and Bryson and the heart you gave them for adoption, and that they were able to walk alongside the birth mom of their son and are still able to walk alongside her a little bit. And we just are so thankful for that little boy that you blessed them with. He is a joy for them and everybody around them. And even for us in the friendship that you've blessed us with through these adoption stories. And we just pray that our stories would help other families that are going through this process or starting the process or thinking about it, that our testimonies would speak to them and let them know that it is doable and we all are able to handle the situation that you give us in your timing. And we just pray that you would bless their family and everything that is to come. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode. Please check us out on Instagram at Adoption Side by Side to follow along in our own personal adoption journeys and for all things adoption related. And join us for our next episode wherever you most enjoy listening to podcasts.